Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this. I don't think I deserve to be here because I know nothing about sustainability, but I will do my best. I think this is the only sustainability you will see in my presentation. I I also removed future because I think these are challenges that you will recognize. This is based on a new project we have actually within the sustainability program of NTNU. So that might mean that we know something about sustainability. What I want to talk about is digital platforms and sustainability related to them. And I have this agenda. I will shortly talk about what we mean by digital platform because there are many different definitions of that. And then focusing a bit on what we call this core and periphery in the platforms, and about the digital colonization on different perspectives, and whether there is something to be done about it. So what are platforms? If you think of our societies, maybe some long time ago, they were infrastructures. People would talk to each other. They would be dependent on each other. These lines show mutual dependencies. So you would exchange services, etc. And then gradually we get this division of labor where some people start offering services to others, and then the mutual dependency becomes one-way dependency as we go. And then gradually you also get these network effects. So some nodes in the network become much more powerful than the others. I think now you're getting the point that platform is the king, and this is, I think, the big kind of challenge with the platforms, that a lot of people become dependent on them, and especially very much accelerated is digital platforms because there are mechanisms there with scalability, with transactions that are very efficient. So these dependencies happen much faster than they do in non-digital settings. So you still have the king there, but you have digital platforms, and this is what we more or less understand with platforms. And in addition, the issue that all platforms have a core, which is maybe not very well defined for all platforms, but it is very well defined economically and commercially. Like this core here could be Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So these are the companies that are owned by Meta, and they are a core of a large international platform, as you know. And then this core and periphery distinction is something that is common to almost all of the definitions of the platforms that I have read. Like if they are technical infrastructures, you have more or less focus on the APIs. Like Facebook has APIs. If you look at the platforms as innovation hubs, you can build new applications on top of a platform. You have platforms as multi-sided markets, so you can be sellers and buyers in this periphery, and you can be sharing platforms like Facebook or other type of social media. So all these definitions, they have at their basis this distinction between core and periphery. And the important thing about core and periphery is that what is in the core is a monopoly, and what is in the periphery is competition. So if you own the core, you have the monopoly on the basic services that are important for everybody. And if you are out here, you have to compete with a lot of others that are like you. And the result becomes that you get a flow of cheap labor, and if it's not digital, of course, raw material, and then you have a flow of high-cost consumer goods and services that go the other way around. I will come back with some examples of this. And then the core and periphery at the very basic level is about governing labor. So if you are in the core, you are governed through contractual employment contracts. You have some rights as an employee. So you have workplace regulations, labor unions, human resource management, etc. But if you are out here, you are on your own. here you are subject to surveillance, you are subject to algorithms, outsourcing, self-service. So it's a kind of unfair place to be. You want to be in the core when you are part of the ecosystem here. And then what is also important is that this employment part is always under attack. So you want to shrink into a core that is smaller, but that contains the most basic. And we see this if you look at all the discussions of the sharing media, like Uber, etc., that's been in the news. They are always about, should we hire these people or not? So they're about the employment contract that you have with people who work for you. So this is always a kind of fight between what is the kind of governance of labor. Should it be based on employment contracts, or should it be based on this kind of surveillance-based algorithmic management? This is a new paper that came out that shows also that this kind of attack on unemployment is also going into very regulated markets like healthcare and education. Like all of us here, we use Microsoft platforms in our work. All people who are now at Santulav's hospital, they use Epic. That is also a platform, American platform. So all these regulated industries are also moving towards this platformization, and they are becoming kind of periphery for these big platforms. This is another paper that I cite here that shows actually that there are a lot of examples of what we call this algorithmic management. So all the management aspects that we have in a traditional organization, they are becoming automated, and they are becoming turning into algorithmic management. So some examples. This is from Santulav, not as a platformer, but a long time ago. This is about shift management. So Santulav made an algorithm to decide shift management among the employees. And what happened was that people got shifts that are 30 minutes, and they had to drive 1 hour to come to Santulav and do half an hour of work and drive 1 hour back. And this is something that really was not liked by the labor unions. Product development. If you look at the back of your MacBook, it says designed by Apple in California, assembled in China, which means that the high-end activities are done in the core, and the low-end activities are done in the periphery. In software engineering, the law of Conway was something I cited in my PhD 20 years ago. I think it's become much more prevalent here. And this is about agile, global agile. And these are studies that Pernille Bjørn has done in India of outsourced projects. And what they find out is that mainly agile systems that were supposed to be empowering for the developers, they have created a stressful and inflexible work environment, negatively impacting their personal lives. And this is how you use kind of the same techniques that you were using in the core. When they are moved into the periphery, they become kind of dark side of the same coin. Even theorization. All the theories we make, they are in the core. They are they're coming from. Like if you look at this study was done of the 104 theories in information systems, not a single theory has an author from Africa, South or Central America, Asia, or Pacific Islands. So we see this core and periphery everywhere, and then comes this thing of should we do something, or can we do something about it? I think what is important to consider that platformization is not only about technical stuff. Platformization is a process of dividing the world into two in all respects. I mean, even gender issues. I mean, if you look at everything, it's a kind of, there's a core with a lot of power, and there's a periphery with very little power and subject to competition, surveillance, etc. And then another thing to also think about is that it doesn't help to divide the world. Even if it's, I mean, if we say core and periphery, they're very tightly connected. So there's a flow of capital, there's a flow of technology. So I think this thing of thinking that, okay, if I help an African country develop an IT industry, it's not a very, in my view, it's not a very sustainable solution because, oh, I said sustainable actually. Because as soon as a company becomes good enough, then Google will buy them, and that is why they are so connected, and that's also what again, as it often happens, a German intellectual comes to our rescue. Immanuel Wallerstein is a sociologist that created this world system theory that he's actually talking about the core. So I stole his ideas here. There's the core and the periphery. He actually has a semi-periphery in the middle that I didn't talk about. But the idea is that, okay, the world is divided into these core countries or core corporations, and then you have the periphery, and everything that happens is within this picture. And I think our discussion of sustainability also needs to take this into account, that it doesn't really help us much if we do some sustainable activities in one part of the world, because it's always connected to the other. So I think this is mainly the main message maybe from this presentation. Thank you.